Hello, this is Eric from loveofcoding.com. In this video, we look at various logical operators and how they can be used with the if conditional that we looked in the last video. To begin with, in Python and in most other languages, empty values are taken to be false. That is, their Boolean type is false. So say, for example, if you take the integer 0, the empty string, an empty tuple, an empty list, an empty dictionary, and the none value are all taken to be false. So let's say, for example, let's declare a variable a. So I've opened Atom, which I've opened the file main.py. On the left and on the right, I've opened the Python 3 interpreter in interactive mode. So in the interpreter, let's declare a variable a and let's give it 0. So we can use the bool function to check the bool type of a, and we'll get that it's false. So the 0 value is considered to be false, but anything else greater than that is considered to be true. And also an empty list is considered to be false, an empty dictionary, and even the none value is considered to be false. There are various logical operators that can be used with the if conditional. We can use and, or, is, and its opposite is not, in, and its opposite not in. So to begin with, let's have an if conditional. Let's declare a variable a, let's declare it 0, and b, let's declare it as 7. So in this case, based on the falseness of empty value, it means a will be false if we check it conditionally. So let's have an if conditional. If a, let's print a is a true value, otherwise else, let's print a is a false value. So in this case, if we execute the boolean on the value a, which is 0, it will return false. So it won't print the first statement, it will print the second one. In the else statement, a is a false value. So we can save that, and we can move out of the interpreter with Control D on Mac or Linux system, and then we can execute our file with Python 3 main.py. We get a is a false value because a is 0, and as you've seen, 0 is a false value. But if we use b, if b, we'll say b is a true value, otherwise b is a false value. We can save that, and if we run again, we find that b is a true value because it's 7. And we can do the same with the empty string, empty tuple, empty list, empty dictionary, and the none value. And we can use the and value to check. So if you use the and in the if statement, if we say, for example, if a and b print both, so in this case we'll say both a and b are true values. So the and statement will evaluate if both checks on each side are true. So in this case, it will only evaluate if both a and b return true. But in this case, we find that a will return false and b will return true. So in that case, it will execute the second statement. So in this case, we won't say, we can say one or both values are is a false value. So we can save that one. So in this case, if both a and b are true, it will execute the first statement, otherwise it will execute the second one. So if we run that, we find that one or both values is a false value, in this case because a returned false. And we can use or, which in this case or will execute if either of the checks on both sides is true. So if one of these is true, the first condition will evaluate, otherwise the second one will evaluate. So we can save that one, and we can say, in this case we'll say one or both are true values. So if at least one of those is true, we will evaluate the first part, otherwise we'll evaluate the second part. We'll say both are false. So we can save that one, and if we run, we get the first output, one or both are true values, because B is a true value. So it checked on A, which was false, and it went to B, which was true. So if we set B to 0 also and we run that, we'll find both values are false because both evaluated to false. So you can do the same really with even the other types list. You can do the check. One thing that beginners mostly usually do, and it's a bit redundant, is saying like, if A is equal to true, you execute that one, otherwise you execute the other one. But this one is just redundant. You don't need the is equal to true. You can just say if A, in that case, if A is true, this will be executed, otherwise the second check will be executed. And we can use the is and is not values to check for truthfulness of the none type. So let's say, for example, A, let's set it to none, and let's leave B to 7. So we can say, it's not right to say if A is none, you use the is keyword. You don't use the two equal operators. You just say if A is none, you can print A is none. Otherwise, we'll say A is not none. So we can save that, and if we run, get A is none. And you can use is not to check the opposite. So if we say, for example, B is not none, this one will return to true. In this case, we find that B is equal to 7, so it's true that B is not none. So this one will evaluate to true, and the first output will be printed. In this case, we can say B is not none. Here we can say otherwise B is none. So if we execute that, we find that B is not none. So in this case, B is 7 and it's not none. So that's why this one evaluated to true. We also have the in and not in operators, which can be used to check if a given item is in a sequence. Let's say, for example, we have a list. Let's say you have numbers. So we have 1, 4, 78, and then just random values. So we can check, for example, let's say if 7, or let's say 4 is in numbers, we'll print, let's say 4, let's say value in list, say value not in list. So the in will check if that value is in that sequence. In this case, our list. So 4 is in our list, so we'll output the first value in list. Otherwise, if for example we had a check like 10, which is not in the list, this one will execute to false. So the second else statement will execute, which will print value is not in list. So if we run that, we get value is not in list as we expected. So those are some of the logical operators that you can use with the if statement. So you can play around with them to grasp them and understand how you can use them in your programs. So that's it for this video. We'll pick it from here. Thanks for watching.